Hello and welcome to the May 15th open session of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. Can I get a motion to open?
So be it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the May 1 closed session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the May 1 open session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mr. Dean and Ms. Crossley from our Future Farmers of America, you are up first.
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Crossley. I'm the president of the Queen Anne's County FFA chapter.
And I am Trevor Dean, and I'm the treasurer of the Queen Anne's County FFA chapter.
So we're here today to get approval for our field trip to the Maryland State Convention, FFA Convention, from June 23rd through June 26th. At the convention, we're going to have 8 members compete in various competitions, from turf management to ag knowledge, and then we also have, I think, 3 members competing in public speaking. So we all placed high enough to get to go do that. So it's really important for us to go practice our skills through a convention.
And we're also going there to go to workshops, such as leadership workshops, and I think there's one about financial intelligence and management. And then there's some farm tours we could go to, all to broaden ideas and knowledge about careers within the agricultural industry.
Well, that sounds great. Any questions, comments? Okay, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the field trip for Maryland FFA State Convention. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, have fun, learn a lot.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you. All right, so next, I guess, Mr. Bearclaw, you're up for a few of them.
I am.
All right.
The next 4.
Good evening, President Bennett, Vice President Bent, board members, Superintendent Salins, executive team. My name is Darryl Barraclough. I'm the school facility coordinator. Coming before you this evening for the Kent Island High School Phase 2 stormwater management repairs. Last year, you may recall, we did a good bit of work out at Kent Island High School repairing underground stormwater lines that had deteriorated, just basically become damaged over time through attrition, just normal wear and tear. That project was originally foreseen to be a start and end over that summer. The contractor executing the work did some more exploratory type work. We found a lot more damage and repairs that were needed than what were expected out there. So working closely with DPW, we developed basically a scope for phase 2 of the work, and utilizing the same contractor and piggybacking onto the county contract, we're able to bring him back to do the next round of repairs that weren't able to be done last summer due to budget as well as timing. So this project would be the second part of that, and we foresee this as being all of the work that's necessary to be done so that next year, FY26, we can come in and do the milling and repaving and get that school looking as well as what Queen Anne's County High School looks like.
And this is for 25 capital.
This project that we're looking at is 25 capital, yes.
And it's been approved and everything's been done with its
Well,
county.
it has not yet been approved.
Not the contract, I'm talking about the funds have been allocated from the county for this project.
The funds are on their agenda for approval. They have not yet been approved by the county, but what we're trying to do is get everything set up to where we have contracts and we have board approval and those things out of the way so that once we get, I think their approval process is the end of May, if I'm not mistaken, so we'll know very quickly here if but all indications that we've got is that
So
we're
our
good to go.
approval, if we go with this, would be upon approval, accepted by the county, you know, that it goes to that, because they're their funding source.
This is 100% local funded.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if we approve it tonight, it'd be contingent upon the county funding this project in their FY '25.
Absolutely.
So if we don't approve it, what would stormwater management be manageable? Would everything go on as status quo?
If we don't approve it tonight, more than likely what we would do is we'd have to push this project to next summer, which means then the paving project would move to FY '27. So we're basically pushing projects another year if it doesn't get approved.
And probably be more deterioration, I would think. It's not gonna get any cheaper to do it next year. I mean, it's gonna deteriorate more if we don't get this done at some point.
Well, that and you've got inflation and material costs that are going to escalate over another year. So, you know, you can anticipate, you know, maybe another 5 to 7% on top of this for next year.
So
Well, there's
this,
always deterioration, but I was thinking, I
Sorry.
thought I'm sorry, just real quick. I thought that building products were coming down finally, that we had been high because of COVID and that now we were finally seeing a reduction in supplies.
We are seeing a reduction in cost,
Okay.
but I can't tell you what they're going to be a year from now.
Right, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms.
oh, you're fine.
Kate.
So I had a couple questions. So the county has put this out to bid, or they're just piggybacking off the 4-H contract that they got a bid for back in
We are
November?
piggybacking on a contract, and there's a lot of savings in doing that. Number one, if we were to bid this project, I'd have to hire an engineer to go out and basically engineer all of this. He'd have to prepare drawings, he'd have to prepare specifications, we would have to then bid this work. This is creating all those savings, so there's probably about $25,000 to $35,000, if not more, of just straight engineering costs that we're not seeing by this. Plus, if we bid the project, that doesn't guarantee that this number is going to come in lower.
Okay, so I see what they put out to bid for the 4-H park itself. So this is coming in at $639,339, and then what they bid on for the 4-H park, that one was $638,238. So just $1,100 difference. But the difference is the county also got a $1.2 million grant from the Rural Maryland Economic Development to pay for that work. And then my next question is, this is all covered under Queen Anne's County MS4 permit. So Ken Island High School is within the urbanized area. So I'm not sure why is this coming out of our funding and not the county's, because for their their minimum control measure for the MS4 program for post-construction, why aren't they doing the maintenance and?
The Phase 1 project that they did last year was MS4 money. My understanding, I can't speak to the county on their budget, but my understanding is that those funds were exhausted, and that's why they're not picking up the tab. Well, in theory, they are picking up the tab for this because this is all 100% county funded. I mean, this is a CIP project that's going through the county, so whether it's managed through them or it's managed through us, we're trying to manage it ourselves versus the management of the project that was done last year. That was through the county.
Okay, so the funds aren't coming out of any of the county or the school's budget for?
It's coming out of the capital improvement. We have a capital improvement each year, and the county funds, besides our operating budget, they fund a capital. It's in the capital side, which is
Okay.
a one-time cost. County funds that to us, and we put projects in front of them that can be moved in or out, depending on if it's funded. And they have, quote unquote, looks like it probably will be funded. Now, my only concern would be contingent upon their funding of it, which I think a board member can make that recommendation.
Although I think you said, it is funded by us. This is part of the monies that we've asked for, is that correct?
Part of the money has
In
been
capital.
allocated to the school
Well, right, but
system
it's-
from the
right.
county
Okay, sorry.
under their capital budget side.
Right, no, I understand that. I think that you were asking though whether it was gonna be in the county's budget, or if it's coming out of the Board of
Yeah,
Education
that's what I'm
budget.
asking,
And I think
because-
it's coming out of the Board of Education budget?
Well, it's county funded, so
Right.
regardless of whether it's coming from capital funds, county capital funds, regardless of whether, what we're trying to do is we're trying to manage this project.
Correct.
So regardless of whether we're managing the project or the county is managing the project, it's still capital funds. It's not, but I guess to kind of put it a different way, if this project isn't awarded, we're not going to get $600,000 that we can do something else with. The county is going to say, okay, well, if the board doesn't approve that, we're not going to give you $690,000 for additional capital that you can do whatever you want with it. We're going to take that $690,000 and we're going to hire them and we're going to do it ourselves.
So
And then
it's-
you won't have any management.
So it's not part of the monies that we've put into Board of Education budget that we've asked for?
It's
Is that
part
what
of
you're
our
saying?
Not
capital
operating money.
budget.
This is capital.
I understand that, okay.
So yes, it's part of
This
the
is
board's.
part of Queen Anne's County Public Schools capital, local capital project
Right.
budget.
The county has put out a budget, which we'll have hearings on next week.
Right.
In their budget, they earmarked 5 million over our budget from this previous year. I'm going to use a number of 68 million they're funding us for operating budget.
Correct.
They've also got a thing in there for capital projects, which usually is around $3 million for certain projects. This year, they have a little bit more because you have a 3-phase thing for paying the new board office. That's a capital thing, one-time cost that it's board, it goes to the board, but it's capital money that the county does a lot of capital projects.
Right.
And like you said, if we don't want to do this, and we think we shouldn't do this, they probably got other places they can spend this money.
Yeah, if we don't spend the money, they're going to spend the money.
But it's not, we're not spending money just because we had to spend. I mean, there's a need to have this corrected, just like we did Queen Anne's County's parking lot. And-
Absolutely.
But there's also a lot, since this falls under their MS4 permit at, like inspection wise, when is the last time this is inspected by the state? Is it in catastrophic failure? What was the last rating it received?
I don't know anything about their MS4, to be 100% honest with you. I'm not that familiar with how they manage that or what their inspection processes are. I know that was part of the project that they did last year that involved the stormwater management, pond clearing around, taking care of the vegetation around the stormwater management, as well as some of the underground work that we did last year at County, and that was all MS4.
Well, this is MS4 too, because anything with any stormwater management system is considered post-construction. So any upkeep, maintenance, whatever you want to call it, it's all under their permit, and they have to, by the state is the delegated agency for APA, so they have to by law do this. That's why I'm just trying to figure out, it is weird that there's no bids on this project. I can see piggybacking off another contract, but that contract is a completely different site and a completely different set of parameters for what stormwater repairs they did at the 4-H park as opposed to the high school. That's why I'm just trying to
I mean,
wrap my head around all
if
this.
this is a large concern, I mean, I know time-wise, we have, deadlines to meet so that we can start as soon as possible, as soon as the commissioners strike their budget. But, I mean, if need be, we can certainly have a commissioner reach out and speak to you about that. I am nervous about pushing it down because if we don't meet our timelines, then we will have to push it a whole year. So our timelines are always short this time of year as it relates to, bids for painting, bids for tiling, roof stuff. I mean, this falls right in there with that.
Well, that and just locking up
I
contractors.
mean, it is
for
really
their
a phase
time.
2. This is not the first time that it has come to the board. This is phase 2. We talked about this last year as it relates to what we were going to get finished the first year and how we were going to have to, finish it basically the second year. We knew we weren't going to be able to complete all the work in 1 year.
Well, I think last year it was a county-managed project. So last year, the Phase 1 project did not come before the board because the way that the county was structuring and the way that the board was structuring a lot of capital projects were being funded by the county as they would be as if they came to us. But the county was doing a lot of the management on their own terms and within their own in-house, so to
Right.
speak. Like the track project at Queen Anne's County High School, that was similarly done where the county basically bid that project out, and they let the contract on that job. They basically handled all of the requisitions for payment. They also handled all of the project management duties, but bi-weekly progress meetings and this sort. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more into being able to manage the projects both fiduciarily, from a money standpoint, as well as from just normal construction administration process.
And there will be a window, if we approve this or bring it up on a vote, contingent upon the county putting in their FY25 capital budget. There'll be at least a week and probably more that any board member can talk to any county commissioner and say, I got concerns, this is not right, to push it back. And they can do that. And if they don't fund us, we're not gonna do it because I'm not gonna vote on something that's not contingent because the money's not there until the county approves it. And it's not coming out of our operating, it's coming out of the capital, which has not been approved for 25 for the county.
Correct.
Right, so the bottom line is, if we approve this tonight, and then the county commissioners approve it, we're not cutting any teacher slots to pay for it, right?
Good
Okay.
point, absolutely
Make that
not.
clear.
Thank you.
And it's going to be designated specifically for that, so.
Correct,
If
and-
this
and
is not
kinda
included,
dovetailing-
Right,
and
it's
if
in the
this is not
capital
approved and included in their budget, we will not be pursuing and moving
Right.
forward with that.
Okay.
We certainly
and
don't
that's-
have the funds to do that.
That's what I was going to say, is that if we don't move forward with approving the 607, or whatever the total is with the dollar amount, it's not as though we're going to have that money to be able to allocate somewhere else,
Right.
especially shifting it to operations.
Oh, no,
I mean,
of
we
course
would
not.
not be able to do that pretty much on any project, but, you know, I know the county, if we're not going to move forward with it, the county's going to just basically pull that money back.
Yep.
Madam President, could I make a motion to accept the Queen Anne's County Board of Education, accept Kent Island High School Phase 2 Stormwater Management Repairs Phase 2 contract award for $639,339.40 contingent that the county commissioners approve it in their 25 FY capital budget for the school board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No on my end.
Do you want to take a poll? I mean,
There were 2 noes and
Two
3
noes and 3 yeses.
yeses.
Mr. Schiaparelli, Ms. Bent, and Mr. Smith, yay. Ms. Capes, Ms. Bennett, nay, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
And who seconded that? I apologize.
I think it was Ms.
Pick one,
Bent.
we both at the same time, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next is our vestibule for Kent Island.
Okay, next is the Kent Island High School Guided Vestibule Contract Award. In March of this year, plans and specifications were made available, and the project was advertised on eMaryland Marketplace with plans and specifications available through Queen Anne's County website. On the 2nd of May, bids were received with 2 general contractors submitting bid packages. Shortly after 2 p.m. deadline for submission, Queen Anne's County Public School staff opened the bids and read each aloud. On the second page, you'll see the bid results for the base bid of $599,000. Alternate number 1 for the window film, which we are not opting to include at this time, and alternate number 2 for $8,200, which we are looking to add, but that would be applicable to the Bayside Elementary School project only. To give a little bit of information here on alternate number 1 for the vandal resistant film, the reason why we're not picking that up is that we had an evaluation in the office with Mr. Sabori, who is undertaking a larger project with a contractor doing a lot of the schools with a safety grant. And we're going to go ahead and price it out through that contractor, and we'll get a little bit better economy to scale and be able to get it done for a little cheaper than what we've bid here.
Thanks. Were there any
Any
questions?
questions?
I'm sorry, Kent Island? Do you want to go ahead and talk about? We
Bayside.
can vote on both, talk about Bayside and we'll,
Certainly. So both of these projects, the reason why it's kind of 2 board items, but it looks like it's 1 bid. We bid the project as one project, but we asked the contractors to provide pricing for each site as informational pricing. Scheibel Construction did come in a little bit lower than the other contractor who submitted costs. The reason why we bid the project as one project, we wanted to ensure that we had one general contractor doing both sites. The thought process behind that was, again, both projects just in and of themselves are kind of small in nature, and we wanted to give a contractor a sense of, if they get a job, they're going to get a job that's going to be $500,000 worth of work, not a small project that's going to be half that cost, and they might lose out on the second one, and they might not have that same economy coming across. Also, if we were to do two projects, we have the potential for having two general contractors. That's going to basically mean I'm paying the architect double the amount of money on his construction administration services. We're going to have twice as many submittals to review. We've got double the progress meetings. He has to attend a progress meeting every 2 weeks, so we're going to have to pay him accordingly for that. So the project was assembled as kind of a one project with two separate costs. And the reason why there are two separate costs is that the county has funded this as two separate projects. So we've got two separate pots of money that we're going to have to invoice against.
Right. We're still getting two different architectural drawings though, right? So whether
We did
pay
get
one or
two sets of drawings, yes. Two sets of drawings and one set of specifications, and that's the way we bid the
And is
project.
this firm fixed?
Yes, this is fixed.
And this goes directly to the safety of our schools. I mean, having the vestibules are needed in all schools.
Absolutely. This, Bayside and Kent Island, these two schools are the last two schools in the county that need to be done in order to address 100% of them with the guided vestibule entries.
Yeah, I like the Queen Anne's. That turned out nice, the Queen Anne's
So-
High School. Okay, any other questions? Okay, a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the contract for base bid alternate number 2 to Scheibel Construction to construct the guided vestibule entries at Bayside Elementary School and Kent Island High School. Let me go back to the piece of paper 1 second. And the total amount of, it's 600. It's over 600,000.
Total would be 607.
607,000.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, moving on. Video management?
Okay, last one up is the replacement of the video management software system that we currently utilize at the school system. We basically have a system here at Queen Anne's County Public Schools that has reached its end of life. The manufacturer of that system, we've been told, is not doing any service updates on that system, so we started exploring alternate manufacturers to come in and provide a new system. Along with providing a new video management system, we wanted to take the opportunity, since we were bidding the project, we wanted to take the opportunity to put out several unit price line items. And what we're looking to do or what we did get was we got pricing for several different cameras that we can install throughout school system, as well as different card access features, the intercom system, wiring, conduit, other things that might happen through the normal execution of work. So what we did was we put together a base bid price for the video management system conversion, which you'll see on the bid tab. We did have two contractors submit their statement of qualifications, their technical qualifications, as well as their proposal numbers, and their proposal numbers are what's shown on the second page. Skyline Technology Solutions, who just happens to be our current vendor that we're getting materials from, we're piggybacking on other county projects. We're utilizing them currently. This would give us a standalone project that is with Queen Anne's County, solely Queen Anne's County Public Schools, It gives us the opportunity to pretty much put a scope together, look at what the scope of work is, determine a rough order of magnitude of what we think those costs are going to be, so that we can begin projecting what we believe costs are going to be for future work. But as you can see through the line items, Skyline Technologies is low on pretty much every one of the line items, with the exception of maybe the device installation, which was line 18, but all the other costs are low. So what we would do over this summer, we would complete the conversion of the software management system. But what this project would do is the unit costs, numbers 1 through 20, they have to hold that pricing for one full year. So that would be July 1 to June 30, they hold that pricing. Then next year, they have the opportunity to look at their pricing, look at what inflation is doing. They have the opportunity to adjust their price, but their adjustment is solely based upon the consumer price index. There's instruments in the specification that tell them what they can and cannot increase by percentages. But at the same point in time, it would have to be a mutually agreed upon price. I mean, they would come with pricing. We would either agree to it or disagree to it. And if we do agree to the pricing, we can extend this for another year, and then it would then sunset 2 years out. So we have this opportunity for 3 years.
So the company that we currently have is what company?
Skyline.
Skyline is who we currently have now.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the life expectancy of this new system?
Pardon?
What's the life expectancy of this new system?
It's a software, so there's really nothing that is going to break per se that would need to be replaced, but software, it's just like everything else, goes through constant updates and different evolutions of
I mean, do we think we can, 5 years, I know, you don't know, things change, things can change tomorrow, but
Well,
it's not a 2-year thing.
No. This system, Genetech has been in operation for decades, and I don't foresee them going anywhere. They've been Genetech for 10 years. They're going to be Genetech for another 10 years, I would venture to say. This program is a program that is specific to K through 12 education platform, and what they do is they give a very reduced rate on the initial installation, and it's a 5-year service maintenance agreement. So if we have any issues with a camera not syncing up correctly, or if we have a bug in the system that we can't take care of on our own, we have 5 years worth of telephone support, as well as other types of support that they can do. A lot of other systems out there charge different, they charge different things. They either get you on the licensing, or they get you on the service maintenance agreement, or something like that. So there's a lot of different ways that they can assess charges and such. But as far as Genetech is concerned, they've been around for a while, and they're going to be around for a while. Just to give you a little bit of information about Genetech, I've got about 2 pages here of local, federal, and state agencies that they currently have as clients. Within just Maryland, 4 public school systems, county school systems within Maryland are utilizing Genetech. Virginia, they have 15 counties or jurisdictions that are, and that's just public K through 12, and there's tens of 20s that yeah, there's quite they're a pretty well-known name in the industry.
I have a question. So I just got me thinking when you said our system has reached its end of life. And we received an email before from, I just brought it up.
Elder was?
Yeah, I had asked you, and you said that was a solicitation. So
Well, no, that's what I was told. It was a solicitation, that it wasn't, yes.
Okay, so I just pulled up the email, and he's saying he's our point of contact, channel manager, and that our system is upgradable, the software. So I'm not following what.
And if you look, I think that company has been bought, I think, 3 times since it was Ocularis. it was Ocularis, then it was another name, and then it was Hexagon. So it's kind of showing kind of the history of where that software has gone. I can't speak to Ocularis. My information is coming from Skyline, who is an Ocularis. They're our current vendor for Ocularis, and they're telling us that they are not getting updates and they're not receiving they're being told that it is not being updated.
So who is here a point of contact for?
I don't know who he's the point of
Right, I
contact
think-
for. He's a
Sometimes with
salesman.
solicitation, honestly, they will tell you anything that they think,
He's a-
like, as
he's a
long as
salesman, isn't he?
you will
He's a
engage with
salesman,
them, they
yeah.
will really, he's a salesman, so.
But we have Skyline, but who is our actual equipment from? Them? Not,
The software is through Skyline. They are an Ocularis dealer, representative, reseller. You can't go, like we as Queen Anne's County Public Schools or any other entity cannot go to Ocularis and buy product. You've got to go through a reseller, and the reseller is Skyline.
so that's who we are paying, what in here said the maintenance agreement?
We are paying Skyline to the $147,000, $146,000 would be for Skyline to complete both the purchasing of the Genetech software on our behalf and do all of the labor to do the conversion, basically switching all of the cameras over, which is all programming.
Okay.
So Skyline
That's
is
for
the
5
one-
years.
Skyline is the one who told us, though, that we can't update our equipment? The one who's getting the-
That's what we were told.
Okay. Real quick, though, we talked about IDIQ work, which gives them some leeway, if it's IDIQ work, and if indefinite duration, indefinite quantity. But the 15% of the after-hours surcharge and the contractor's OHP, is that going to stay the same no matter what the index says? Will that stay at 15%? Because I know the other.
All of the prices and the percentages would be negotiable based upon the CPIs, whatever happens with the consumer price index for our area. So if it says there was a 6% increase, that doesn't mean that his percentage is going to go from 15% to 21%. Again, that's something that we would have to agree upon prior to it being approved and moving forward. But these prices, the top price is a firm fixed price for the video management software conversion. That's something that's going to take place from July to August of this year over summer break. That's a quick start, finish duration. The rest of these unit prices would be held for a year, and they would take care of things. A perfect example would be our central office project. Our central office project has several locations throughout it for cameras and door access, access control, electronic accesses. The project scope includes the backbone wiring and the box for all of that equipment. The actual devices, the camera installation, and the programming is not in the general contractor's bid. So this gives us the opportunity now to know what all of those cameras are going to cost from a price each. And since all of the wiring is completed, there's no cost for the wiring since the contractor who we're paying for now, Doyle, to do the work, that's already in the scope of work. So all we're paying for is the camera and the installation and the programming cost for that.
Okay, well, they were close.
They were very close.
Yeah, so it's,
And I've worked with both of them before, so they were very, very, very close and very competitive.
any other questions?
I just want to make sure I got that. Recommend that we approve the contract with Skyline Technology Solutions to convert the existing surveillance camera software to Gentech Security Desk EDU and the IDIQ unit prices for 1 year, extendable to 3 years total.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's gonna be no on my end.
Okay, no for Ms. Capes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hickey. All right.
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. For the record, I'm Julie Hickey, Coordinator of Food Service. I'm here before you tonight seeking approval for Queen Anne's County Public Schools to partner with Maryland Shore Educational Food Service Consortium, contract with Cisco Eastern Maryland for the delivery of food and food-related products. Maryland Shore East Educational Food Service Consortium consists of the 8 school districts on the eastern shore of Maryland to receive the best purchasing power of these food products. Caroline County Public Schools put the bid out for the delivery of the food and food-related products for public bid, and Cisco is the only bid received. The contract does contain the necessary clause which will permit us to partner and utilize their contract for cooperative purchasing of food and food-related products. This contract was recently renewed for the 3rd year to begin on July 1st, 2024, and there are 2 more years of renewal options available. The fiscal impact is expected to be $800,000 for the entire fiscal year 25. The funding will be out of the food service fund balance account. It's necessary for us to accept this invitation since we'll be going self-op as of July 1, 2024. And we'll need to accept this invitation so that we can start ordering food to have it in-house for our summer programs as well as for the start of the next school year. Any questions that I can answer?
I just had the question, and I was not really sure maybe of how to phrase it. I know we say that this is going to save us a lot of money by going from Sodexo to in-house, but I was curious as to, we had this contract for $800,000 for the food. But what did Sodexo pay for a year of food? Like, what was budgeted for?
And this 800, this expected, the expected fiscal impact of the 800,000 takes into account what Sodexo is currently paying. I can see their Cisco bills. And then we take into account what the CPI has been for food away from home over the past year, which is 4.6%. So we can add that onto the top of it. So that number is based off of what Sodexo is paying.
Okay, so we're saying that Sodexo paid $800,000.
Well, minus that, whatever that 4.8%.
Okay, thank you.
I was back in the day when we had it in-house, then we went out. Now we're coming back in.
Yes.
I'm not going either way. Every time you change, you have concerns, because there's always
Correct.
little things that tweaks and does this. I feel confident in you that you can handle this. But are these numbers from what we've seen in the past, and I know they did it, and we're going to save on management and some of that stuff. Have you come up with any things that have maybe gone a little south on us yet?
Not yet, no.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it's just it's a good thing to do. I'm not criticizing it, but we have people, you got, it's just, and change is good sometimes, but you gotta be cautious.
And what we, have stressed to people too, especially in this first year, our operational budget may not look that different, but what we're doing is we are keeping all of that money in the county, able to utilize some local vendors, eventually as we go forward in the next school year that we're not able to do right now.
One big thing for me is I really was sold on it. Not only, we want to save money, but I was really excited about the local partnerships we were saying we were going to do with the farms, especially with our FFA, and obviously we're UJAG County, so I would like to maybe get some updates throughout the year of this is a partnership, because I know we haven't reached out to any yet. I understand it's new and we need to get our foundation done before we go any further. Because it'd be really great to do some kind of partnerships with those, even just educational and visiting. And so if you could just tag that onto your agenda sometime way down the line, it'd be great to hear about that.
And we hope to in October, there's a homegrown school week that they promote the entire week in school. Partnering with your local farmers, kind of spotlighting, highlighting those foods that you can get from those locals. So, by October, we hope to have that partnership with a local vendor to have those items on the menu.
Great, thanks.
Like when we deal with Cisco, they're a big company.
Correct.
They probably invoice you, you check it out, you put it through payroll, and in 30 days they get paid. A local vendor that's a small farmer, we have the ability to sit there when we buy something from them to be a more hands-on and quicker, because some of these people, when they sell you something, they're not a banker. They're not ready to wait for 30
But they
days for
need
their
to be
money.
paid.
I mean, we understand that there'll be a little bit of difference when we deal with smaller. It's a good idea to deal with local people, but it's a different situation sometimes too. So we can handle that.
I mean, that's gonna come down to
Look into the
probably the
CFO,
finance and how
yes.
quickly yeah.
We got good credit? That's
Yeah.
the question.
Well, credit's good. Credit's good.
good, but
I don't
people wanna
think,
get
I think
paid.
our credit's great. I'd like
Yeah.
to deal with you, but it's a cash flow issue with some of these
Exactly.
people. And if all of a sudden we come in, I'm not gonna name any farms, but you come in with an asparagus or something you wanna buy, and we're buying, $20,000 worth, that might be a whole month for them, where, they're used to having
To
that.
get them paid quicker than
Yeah,
the
quicker.
big vendors.
Okay.
I did one question. Did we address the communication issue? We had a young lady that showed up to ask about keeping all of the staff.
Correct.
And I thought that we had already fixed that. Have we completed or talked to them so that they now understand what the situation is?
We had actually talked to them prior to that meeting. They all had an opportunity to come after they were informed of the converting to self-op. We held a meeting on that Wednesday after. They were made aware of it. They were all given the opportunity to come, and we did explain to them that there are no hourly positions being cut, and they're all encouraged to reapply when the positions become available. But yeah, there are no intention to cut any hourly staff. The people that are in the kitchens right now, the number of people that are there are the number of people that are needed to run those kitchens.
Thank you. Just want to make sure.
Yep, and they've all been given my name, number to call with additional questions, but yeah, we've addressed it and,
Very good.
yep.
Any other questions?
Recommend we approve the partnership with the Maryland Shore Educational Fund Service Consortium, contract with Cisco Eastern Maryland LLC for the delivery of food and food-related items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next.
Okay. Next, I'm seeking approval for Queen Anne's County Public Schools to piggyback on the Maryland Shore Educational Food Service Consortium's milk contract with Cloverland Dairy. In order to function as self-operational, Queen Anne's County Public Schools will need to establish a contract with a vendor to provide milk in order to serve meals that are in compliance with the National School Lunch Program and National School Breakfast Program's federal guidelines. Our milk products are currently procured through our food service management contract. Wacomico County Public Schools put the bid for the delivery of milk out to public bid. The contract contains the piggyback clause, which permits us to utilize the Wacomico County Public Schools contract for purchasing milk and all other items listed on that proposal. This contract is in effect until June 30th, 2026, unless terminated by the Wacomico County Public School Board. The fiscal impact is expected to be $190,000 for the entire fiscal year 25. The funding will be out of the food service fund balance account.
How much notice must they give us if they decide to terminate the contract?
I will have to get that answer for you.
Okay. 'Cause I don't want us to be.
And
Short.
what's our game plan
recourse
if they
if-
do?
Yeah.
If they do, Wycomico's fine,
Right.
and it's good doing. I like it this way. But if something goes wrong with them, all of a sudden, boom, do we
Yeah.
have a exit plan or another plan to make sure we can get it somewhere?
I mean, we would continue, Cloverland is the only milk
I was gonna say, they're the only
supplier.
ones, and they've been
I mean,
around
we're
since
running
when
into,
I was
I
in
mean, there's
school.
not
Cloverland
many.
is the only farm, only,
I'm
Don't
sorry,
deliver.
Farm.
Cloverland is the only one that has K-12 compliant milk products.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, and it has been that way, as I
For-
said, since I was in
Yeah,
school, for sure.
And Cloverland is our current milk provider as well, so I mean, it's just gonna be with a
Right.
different
So
contract.
wouldn't that be hard to do a separate contract directly with them?
Correct, it would not, and I have been in touch both with Cloverland, Cisco, I mean, they actually were in touch with me as soon as they heard that, the Sodexo contract was ending. So yeah, there's really no options as far as your Cisco, your big vendor, and your Cloverland for your
We
dairy
just have so many
vendor.
dairy
I mean,
products, interesting. that
Are we
they're
making
bothered.
provision?
Not
I mean,
many
I can
people want
see-
to be in.
You can see the
K-12.
little milk cartons, because they have not even changed the milk cartons.
Correct.
They're not 2 cents anymore, though,
Well, they
right?
have this year because of the cardboard
You're
shortage.
dating
You
yourself.
see
Oh, yeah,
them. They've
that's
packaged them in
true.
whatever cardboard they can find, but yes,
Right.
I mean, otherwise, but yeah, it's all specially formulated for K-12. It's nothing that you're gonna find
Here,
anywhere
3
else.
cents, I get 2 for 5.
Oh, you were so funny.
If we contracted with them directly, the price would be higher.
We don't know that.
Our pricing actually is on our white milk half pints is actually going to be better with the current piggybacking than it is
Right.
with Sodexo right now.
So I guess the question is, are we preparing ourselves that should they get out of the contract and we have to go directly with them, we can accommodate the difference?
Yes, yep, because again, we figured in that CPI,
Okay,
yep, I was going to say.
sure, our kids are covered
Yeah, well, it probably wouldn't hurt to just even say, what would it be if we contracted
directly.
directly, you know, just so we have
Yeah.
to work on, since it would be within, anyway. Are there any other questions?
Just recommend approval of the piggyback of Maryland's Shore Educational Food Service Consortium milk contract with Cloverland Dairy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm not seeing Mr.
Page is not, I think.
Oh, Mr. Kibler,
Dr.
okay.
Dr.
Dr.
Kibler.
Kibler, sorry.
Last minute substitution,
Okay,
if that's okay.
From the
Yeah.
18th.
That's right.
There you go.
So good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team, Dr. Matthew Kibler, Assistant Superintendent. So what I'm bringing to you tonight for a vote is our prolonged state of emergency virtual education plan. This comes as a result of legislation passed in the 2023 Maryland General Assembly session. Basically, there was a law passed. It had three components around virtual education. It had what we're talking about here tonight, the prolonged state of emergency virtual education plan, some guidelines if we wanted to have virtual education for like a snow day or something like that. And then the third piece was around having just a virtual education school, sort of like our BVP, frankly. But so this piece that we're talking about tonight, what we have to do is have a board approved plan guidelines for, I'm going to read by definition, a prolonged state of emergency. And that means a state of emergency declared by the governor under Title 14 of the Public Safety Article that prevents regular in-person attendance at a public school for at least 14 consecutive days. So it's basically getting us ready if the 100-year COVID event would happen again or something like that. So we have to have something that we're ready to pivot to. The plan that you'll see tonight, that if you reviewed, it basically will look like our first iteration of the COVID plan we had 3 years ago. The recovery and reopening plan was the document that we had named back in 2020. When you read through it, it is vague. It's intentionally vague because we don't know what prolonged state of emergency we're talking about. There is language in the law that the county school board may adjust the virtual education plan to fit the specific needs of the schools affected in the specific circumstances of the emergency. We don't know if it's going to be because of a flood, a hurricane, just some other sort of power outage. Would it be COVID again? So that's why you see it as written now. There was not a lot of guidance from the state on what needs to be included. So this is kind of minimal and bare bones. We have to have a board approved plan to submit to the state by June 1st. They will review it. And if it's not what they were thinking, they will bring it back to us and we can edit and resubmit. But it was an extremely tight turnaround for us. As you know, I sat in the seat April 22nd, found out this had to be board approved and submitted by June 1st. So here we are.
Yeah. No, I was very much appreciative that it was very open-ended for us to make the best decisions, for, your executive team to make the best decisions. So I appreciated that very much. Yeah.
One thing, I don't know if we could add something in here, because, this board went through COVID. We know what happened, what we could and couldn't do. If we did something, what ramifications we would have. I'd just like something in here, we understand this needs to be done, but we also want to sit there and make sure that we feel the best possible learning is in person. The future boards of Queen Anne's County figure, if we can keep people in school, that I feel that's the best way, because there's going to be boards after us that are going to say, well, okay, it's like the whole thing. If you're going to throw me in jail, that's a problem. But if it's a gray area, I personally think that it caused a lot of problems, us being out of school, even though some of the things people didn't understand why we had to do what we did.
Right.
But I just think it needs to be that this board feels, I feel, that we should be in person at all, if everything you do, and I think the board probably agrees with that, wouldn't you?
Well, I think we all agree with that, but it's
How?
because it's a policy that we're supposed to put together for if it's an emergency where the governor keeps us out for the 14 days. I mean, so
Right.
we all know that it was better for our kids to be in person and personally without a mask and personally, that interaction. But but this plan is just for if we're out of school for the 14 days, but,
It'll be
so,
longer than 14, but.
yeah, longer than the 14, thank you.
It's how you read things. I'm just worried about interpretation of how people, I'm not
It's a
gonna.
I
good
don't care
start.
either way.
I'm happy to, if the board would like me to add a few sentences that Mr. Smith suggested, we certainly can do that. I would suggest probably we put that in the background, just make a third paragraph that's 2 or 3 sentences, and I'm happy to add that if that's okay.
Yeah,
If
sounds
it's a
good to
consensus,
me.
if it's a consensus of the board. I know Mark and Helen were big on when they, are appointed or elected to get that open.
Sounds good.
Sure were. Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
I'm in agreement with that.
Good
That's fine.
times.
So does
Yes,
someone
please.
to make a motion though to accept it?
Sure, you wanna-
pending- You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the addition to a
Yeah.
third paragraph.
Go ahead there, Mr. Smith.
Let me get the thing up. Make a motion, we do the prolonged state emergency virtual plan, but put a paragraph in that the board feels that in-person students' education is a priority, or however you can diplomatically say it. But sometimes it's like we've been
That was
talking.
a good motion.
We've been talking about things, and sometimes how people read things, interpretation, and if you
Yeah.
put something just here, they say, well, this is what you got to do. Well, it's not necessarily what you have to do. The board has some, I think, leeway sometimes, and it might be a split decision, but at least we recognize it because it was a big problem for us.
And this is, so I would, the law itself had like the 3 pieces. So this piece that we're talking about now is strictly if COVID happened again or something like that. This is not what you'll see some of the surrounding counties deciding to do, where they go to synchronous or asynchronous learning just because they have a snow day or just because they want to have an asynchronous day. That is not what this is giving us the ability to do, which I think speaks to the point you're making, Mr.
Yeah,
Smith.
it's just-
That is a separate piece of this law, like of the 3 big chunks, but that's not what this one is.
You made a motion?
Anybody second?
And
Did you second?
second.
All those in
I'm losing my voice,
favor?
sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I also want to thank Mr. Page, Supervisor of Instruction, for his leadership in organizing not only the CNI team, but executive team and members of the whole staff to put this plan together. We couldn't have done it in such a tight turnaround without his leadership, so I do want to thank him for that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Page. If he's watching.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now we have, who is doing our update? Is that?
I think we're gonna.
We're going to tag
Tag
team
team,
it.
okay.
So 4 Point Education, the partners who were here last time in person to present to you, as well as the 21st Century point of contact, aren't able to be here this evening, but I remembered that Mr. Smith had specifically requested that it be on the agenda. So they actually developed this, but it's very similar to what you saw last time. There's some minor updates, but to the presentation, but they're big updates as it relates to programming and moving forward. So it's really, most of that is captured literally in the very second slide. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Kibler.
Sure. I think the big thing to hit from the last time that they were here, like Dr. Salins mentioned, is that they were going to the local management board looking for an increase in funding from the $100,000 that was, I think, quote unquote normal, or what had been the trend, to $200,000. And happy to report that the local management board did approve that increase in funding. And so that's going to allow us to operate the PFY menu school programming in a similar way to we are now. And we'll get to that slide in a minute. But it basically means the schools that have the out of school time programs this year are going to continue to be able to have those out of school time programs next year. Queen Anne's County Public Schools will not be managing, will be liaison, just working with the groups that are overseeing both the 21st Century and the menu school operation. And the Edge Ken Island business is overseeing the menu school option. We will be partnering with messaging to faculty, staff, and families. So again, I guess we can just review this. You've got the Boys and Girls Club as the lead agency on the 21st Century program. They, at last update, still have not heard back about their grant award. We don't expect anything different, I don't think, but we would expect them to get that grant. But that would be for our Churchill Elementary, Sudlersville Elementary, and Graysonville Elementary schools. And then the PFY menu school option, the lead agency there is the Edge. That's Kennard Elementary, Mattapique Elementary, Sudlersville Middle, Mattapique Middle, Stevensville Middle, and Centerville Middle.
Just a quick question. So if by chance they weren't to get that grant, what would our programming look like on that piece?
grant? Which one?
The
The 21st
400,000.
or the
Yeah,
one that's
21st,
not-
yeah.
Well,
The one that we're waiting on.
I don't think we'll get the full 400,000. We typically don't. We ask for what we need, and we already have some provisions in working with them to look at. Transportation is a huge part of that, and would likely be removed from the grant in order to provide that. We've looked at enrollment, we've looked at how the utilization of buses over the course of those three schools over several years, and we feel like that would be the biggest bang for our buck to remove if we had to take a chunk of money out and still be able to do programming.
Mr. Smith said staffing.
Staffing wise, it will go through the Boys and Girls Club.
Gotcha.
I mean, and it likely could be our staff, but they also utilize high school students and capacities throughout their programs. So I think their staffing will look different than the way we've staffed our 21st Century grant in the prior years.
Part of our agreement is we will advertise, I guess, just communicate with principals and the teachers that there are these opportunities, but we would not be paying them.
Right, they totally staff it themselves. We just would announce everything so that our staff would know that they have opportunities.
When you said the schools that are going to be participating in this, if a school's not in it, can they apply to that school if they're still in our district?
So
Like Ken Island had a couple elementary schools that weren't in this.
So the high schools aren't in it because they have their own out-of-school time programs, and then the only other two, I believe, are the two primaries, the K to 2.
that's correct, and they have alphabets, so we don't typically do any programming there.
And what two are those?
That's Ken Island Elementary School and Centerville Elementary School. There are pre-K to 2, so they have alphabets, which is another organization that, we work with, a partner that uses our facilities.
So that they have after-school programs there?
They do, they have before and after-school programming through alphabets at those two schools.
But
And at
these are
Mattapique
summer
Elementary.
programs.
No, this is,
These are during
During the school
school.
year.
During the school year, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
And the 21st Century, that's just for Title I, right?
Those are 3 Title I schools. You have Graysonville, Churchill, and Sudlersville Elementary School. Yeah, completely different philosophy there. That programming is specially designed to, as an intervention for your lowest economically challenged, groups within your school district. So they typically are Title I schools.
So did you say that there may not be funding for the bus? There may not be
Right,
transportation?
we've asked for 400,000. I don't think that we would get the full 400,000. So we've kind of analyzed it into not interrupt programming. And we decided and looked at it that probably likely transportation would be what we would cut in the program so that we could still run programming. So it would be where parents would have to provide that transportation.
I mean, I can't speak for anywhere else, but I could say for Sudlersville Elementary, if there was to be no transportation, I don't think you would have a program, especially for the Title I school. I don't think there would be anybody picking up and dropping off.
We have looked at utilization of buses, and believe it or not, a lot of the students do have transportation, and that's why we chose to go with that. We use the trend data from looking at the buses and the utilization of buses. But certainly, when we get our final number, we can look at it and determine whether that's the best bang for our buck or not. So I appreciate that comment.
And the parents need to do that as soon as possible, so they know,
Right.
When they sign up. I mean, I
Absolutely.
would rather sit there and have it, no transportation initially. If we get it, would be great. But if you have it and they plan on it and then don't have it, that would be a more disruptive.
Right, oh, absolutely, yeah.
so I just put the PFY menu program changes up too, just so you all could see. This will, these schools will definitely not include transportation. It's just not enough funding based on the 200,000. Also, because of the building use fee, we had to alter the programs a little bit. So they are going to be a little bit shorter next year, but we're also helping out the costs by, rather than like the middle school sports teams, rather than them consistently all season competing against each other, we're going to go to a model where they instead have like an end of season tournament, just one place. So that cuts down the cost, but allows us to still offer robust programming. It's actually going to allow more students to participate at the schools. Because if you think about it right now, like the middle school sports, like middle school basketball, from the whole school, they're only taking 15 kids or so to compete against each other in the teams. But now if we house this just at the school and do like an intramural where they're competing amongst themselves, more kids would be able to participate in those programs. So we actually think that that's, in some ways, this works out a little bit better too.
I think it does too, and it's all inclusive of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Correct.
Which the program hasn't always been like that. So I think it's more opportunities for our students to be engaged. And I think, again, even though it's a shorter, weeks from 26 weeks to 18 weeks, I'm still delighted that we're going to be able to get programming where more students are going to be able to participate.
I don't agree with that. I think if we don't have transportation, I mean, I don't know, the other end of the county, but I'm in the north end, and I don't think if these parents have transportation for their kids, it's not going to happen. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but.
I mean, I don't know that I necessarily disagree. I just know with the cost of what.
No, I understand
Yeah,
what
I
you're
don't know.
saying,
I don't know
just-
what we would do if we don't
Right.
try this and see the utilization. That would be the fear.
I mean, if it's not feasible, you're just gonna, the thing, at least there's something there, and hopefully, it's not perfect. It'd be nice to have everything, but we go that through our budget year over year, what you have and what you're not gonna be able to afford.
Any other questions?
That kind of highlights
yes.
the big
Yeah,
changes from
yeah.
last time.
My biggest concern is just have whoever's doing it at these schools, keep people informed, keep the parents informed,
Right.
because, that was just a real problem last year with
Yeah,
that
it's
starting
actually
off
been a
and-
problem since I got here.
Yeah.
All of the after-school programming has been extremely challenging. It's really been underfunded, and it's just been a real challenge for
But
us.
I mean, we need to be upfront with them and say, here's what's gonna happen here, and
Right.
like Leah says, okay, we're not gonna have, we'd like to have it, but we're not gonna have transportation. Let them know this, because we just can't wait September and all of a sudden, everybody fine, well, we thought this, we thought that.
Right,
We-
agreed.
We need to have the
Yeah.
information out to people.
Part of what 4 Points is working on that we kind of glossed over is a communication plan to families, and that will include just sort of that QACPS is handing this off to the outside agencies, and will be coming from them too.
Yeah.
I had a quick question about the overhead across the schools. I wasn't really clear on the changes. It said oversight by the edge, we knew that, but facility fees included. Is that the facility fees to use that they're paying to use our?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Just like Alpha Best
Right.
pays, Parks and
Okay.
Recs pays,
Okay.
the Edge would have to pay as well.
And that was part of the shortening to include that.
Okay.
Is that the same thing under contract services where it says summer building use? Page 4, under the 24-25 changes.
And then which row?
Contract services, and then the bottom where it says summer building use and comma, independent evaluation, budget 131,800.
I don't know why I'm not.
Because one is
I
that
think it's
Boys and
one
Girls
up
Club and the
page
other
from
one's the
that.
Edge, is that correct?
So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The third one where it says summer building use, under contract services.
Yes, that's the same thing. That's just the different programs.
So
I'm
that would be
sorry.
like camp, if they do camp or something at the
Yeah,
school? Okay.
yes, correct. I'm sorry, I thought,
Oh, no,
it
you're fine.
is listed differently under the PFY budget. I can't speak to that difference because I didn't put it
Yeah,
together.
well, it's a little odd to have it with the two at the
Right,
edge.
and it's,
and
I would imagine that those budget areas are a little bit based on how the grant asked them to report out specifically as well. questions?
I do have one question about the roles and responsibilities, just to have the oversight for the programs here on school property. Because I know that it says that we're doing the coordination of the use of space and stuff, but the EDGE and the Boys and Girls Club, is there some oversight for us to them to see how the program is going? Are they submitting a program?
There's an evaluation.
Okay.
Yep, it's actually the 21st Century, it's written in their grant, and the LMB board actually requested specific checkpoints and data, and they'll be working with John Grow as it relates to any of those dating reporting. Yeah, but 21st Century, it's a lot. The 21st Century grants is a lot of reporting. The LMB obviously is not quite as extensive, but they still are requiring it as part of the $200,000.
Okay.
So if you look at the second bullet under school district data sharing and the supporting the program reporting, that's getting right at what your point is, your question is, and that'll be so our new supervisor that we're bringing on, Dr. Jennifer Schreckengoss, Mr. John Grow, the supervisor of accountability, and myself will all be part of the QACPS leadership team with this, helping with that reporting and just evaluating the program. And frankly, part of that will be getting to your point, Ms. Capes, about utilization at the different schools. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Smith for iReady. She's been back there ready.
Good evening, Ms. Bennett, Dr. Salins, executive team, and board members. I'm Amy Smith, Supervisor, Curriculum Instructions, K-12 Mathematics, and Gifted and Talented. And so today I'm bringing before you an informational piece for open public review of iReady Ready Classroom for grades 6, 7, and advanced 7, which includes grade 8 material. And so that material is placed over by the bookshelf so that families could look at the books and see the resources for a possible text adoption. We know with our current data in mathematics, middle school's program is the next one that we need to look at. And we are currently on a year-to-year renewal contract with the resources that we have in place. So we investigated and put a search out for different texts that are available. I created a team of teachers and community members to come and review several different texts aligning with the standards that we're assessed on and looking at the materials we currently have to find what would be the best and most cost-efficient resources to kind of redirect some of our instructional practices within the classroom. There was 3 books that the teachers narrowed it down to. We piloted 2 in the spring. The one that they ultimately chose and felt best supported students as well as teachers' planning and resources for differentiation and expanding supporting learning gaps for students for interventions and enrichments was the iReady Ready Classroom. And as you know, we have that currently in our K-12. So what makes it very nice is that we're using the diagnostics. It provides us great data, and then to be able to have a continuation within the same program would be a wonderful feature. So right now, this is just information so that it's out for public review, because we know adoptions have to have 30-day opportunity for parents and community members to look at resources if they would like. We have my current budget line for texts and resources allocated, and when we looked at that, it's a little over where we would be at for my current coming year. And so we have looked at putting a amendment into the LEADS grant to cover 1 year of that contract, to allow us to go into a 3-year contract that actually ends up saving us a significant amount of money of what we are currently paying year to year using the Agile Minds resources. And I've come to you every year with our year-to-year renewal going, please recognize that this year, if If the amendment is not approved, then we will continue forward with our current resources that we have. But the pricing from last year is about an 8% increase of where it was last year, and it's continuing to go up every time you go as just a year-to-year contract. If it does not happen, at least we've gone through all the process so that hopefully with my next year's budget, then we would be able to move forward with a middle school full-fledged adoption. But we needed to make sure we have everything in place if the Leeds grant amendment comes in.
Do you mind me asking, the people that were on your team, you said you had some citizens, just some from the community.
So
Were there any that had middle
several
school
of the
kids?
teachers that were involved are also parents with students in the middle school area. I did not have anyone who kind of came forward and said that they could willingly come in and outside beyond that. That's why we also make that available so that individuals can take a look at the resources.
Thank you.
You said amendment to the Leeds grant.
Yes.
If we do that, then that will be a reoccurring cost for the future budgets.
So we have the reoccurring cost with our current resources that we have. This puts us in a 3-year contract, so it would be paid with my current mathematics budget for July 1, and the extra in Leeds allows us to go in a 3-year lower price contract. And out of the textbooks that were selected, I had gotten quotes. I was pleasantly surprised, and part of which is because we are in a K-5 contract with the company already. This bid was significantly less than even the other textbooks that I already bypassed all of the approvals of the teachers and all the different combinations. I had special educators, I had general educators, I had the advanced teachers involved in it, and how they reviewed and responded to the resources, and the students within the classroom responded.
If it's replacing something else, I see that, because, we're doing this. It's just, we're sensitive up here right now.
I totally
For using grant money for something, and then all of a sudden it run out and somebody say, wait a second, it's not there. And if we have good reasoning and why it's going to move over, most people don't understand it, but we got to do our due diligence to make sure that
No,
we're
I
physically,
absolutely.
But
And
I
that's
did hear
part
you
of.
say we're going to save money though if we do that, right?
Yes,
By doing a
and
multi-year.
because at this point, then I don't have to do it, I won't have to be here every year saying I need to renew my grade 6 and 7. The other feature is come the end of next school year, my 8th grade text is then ended its contract. And by doing this, I've already discussed with the company of then being able to bring in 8th grade as well within our contract. And that's within my annual budget line for my text resources.
I think what we could do for next month, when we have the Leeds amendment, hopefully we can make the detailed savings known, or just show how this is benefiting us.
it's way out.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yep,
So you
that'd
can
be
see.
helpful.
Well, and just to give you an idea, we are about 25,000 over my allotted money that's currently in my line for middle school, and that's for 3 years. Well, when you're talking about 3 years at 25,000 extra just for this part, that's already a significant savings, because this year the pricing for it takes up what was initially allocated plus a little bit more, and next year's would go up and bypass that amount. And so now this would then actually give me 1 more year in contract of that funds being able to build and replace some other resources that we need to on an annual basis anyways. Any other questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thanks for waiting. Dr. Kibler, are you guys tag teaming or just Dr.
No,
Kibler? All right,
this
all right.
Old
Yeah.
Dr. Kibler.
This one's just
I
me,
see baby.
and really, this is just an update tonight. So, May 1st, we had to submit our updated blueprint implementation plan. So it's there for your review. Again, this is, just like last year, we've talked throughout the year, just our, update we needed to make. If you do review it, you'll notice it's kind of broken into 2 sections. The first part is a district-wide implementation plan. It's about 10 pages, and then after that, it goes into our plans pillar by pillar. The first part, the first 10 pages had to be submitted on March 15th, I believe, and I am happy to report that we actually got the first 10 pages approved with no changes. So that was really exciting. So the rest of it is being reviewed now. It would be formally adopted by the AIB just like last year, sometime in July. We are expected to have to make edits back and forth, just like we did last year. But I wanted you to see what this first draft was like right now. Hopefully it's not a first draft. Hopefully it's a final plan, but I don't know that we're that lucky.
Is this on our website so people can take a look at, or do we have to wait until it's been?
So they did it a little bit differently this year. As soon as we submitted to the state, it was live.
Okay.
So it's through the AIB site. So now it's on board docs as well as it's on the AIB's website. If you'd like me to link it in its current form on our website, I can. Last year, I think we waited till we had the final approved plan.
We can't wait that, because I know that, for anyone listening in, there's a lot of talk about the blueprint, and this will give you a lot of information.
Sure.
A lot of the mandates, a lot of the pillars, and it'll give you, I think, a lot of information that would be helpful.
I mean, can we have something on our website to show them where to go to look at a draft?
Of course.
Since it's in the state, then we'll put it on ours
Sure.
once it's approved, because if they see it on us, they're gonna think it's ours.
I don't remember off the top of my head if on the website when we designed it, if we pointed to the AIB's site, but I certainly can have.
Well, at least,
Please, yeah.
if
No, I'll
somebody
have
asks
it
somebody,
changed.
or asking,
Sure,
them
of
to go to
course.
that site, and then you can.
No, I think that's a great idea. I don't remember if we're there yet or not, but yeah, we'll make that change.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Hopefully no changes. It's perfect the way it is. All right, Ms. Gass, now, just to put out there for the budget book, we know that this was put on late, but we want to get this, and it's pressing, but of course, most of us are not going to have had any chance to have you reviewed this yet. So we'll be coming back, I think, with questions and maybe at the next.
Absolutely, we'll put it right back on the next
Yeah,
one. So if you want to
yeah.
pass out the hard copies, yes,
Or
it
homework.
was definitely late being posted. Our
We understand,
apologies for
yeah,
that.
hot
There's
topic.
been a hot topic, and wanted to make sure that it was accurate and,
Thank you.
Looks costly.
yes,
Thank you.
thanks, yes.
Thank you. Aw, look at the
So
cute
the good news is that the format hasn't changed, so it'll be very familiar to
Yes.
you. There's been,
Unfortunately, the only thing that changed is the bottom line.
yes.
And just to, this is just support for the budget that you've already approved. So there's no changes. Oh,
This reflects the budget that we,
I've already approved the draft budget that was already approved. So there's no changes to the totals. This is
it's
just
updated,
support.
it's updated to, state,
Yes,
that's moved a little bit.
yes, that's the only thing that has changed.
And it's the 5 million the 5 million over last year what the county's doing.
It's still the same, yes, correct.
So just for the record, can you at least say?
Sure,
that?
absolutely. So for the record, Dr. Ceilings, Dr. Kibler, President Bennett, Vice President Bent, members of the board, the executive team. I'm Whitney Gass. This is an informational item for you as well. This is the details for the draft 25 budget that has been approved and sent to the county as well.
Is this found on our website?
It is not yet.
Okay,
It's on the board docs. It's on board
Well,
docs right
that's-
now, but
okay.
Yeah.
Just I want people to know where to find this stuff, so that instead of, guessing what we're doing,
Absolutely.
this is an opportunity for you to go and see where this money is being applied.
I was gonna say, but we can't put it out there until they approve our budget, right?
I think.
Well, we can put out our proposed budget. I mean, we're here and open
Yes,
and.
typically
Is
we
that
have
correct?
put our
Yeah.
proposed budget out, but I wanted you to have the chance to review
thank
and
you.
agree. And then we can put out the proposed budget, and then the final budget will be once we receive the final numbers.
So as you flip, again, you're not gonna see any different formatting than you've seen before. You see the summary that you approved, then you'll see all of our revenues that are unrestricted funds, continuum of revenues of what's restricted. And then you'll see the approved budget from last year, side by side with the approved budget for this year. Which I think will be helpful for the board to look at the different categories to see which ones. Now, I will say that, at first, when I was reviewing it, you look at the, some of the overall salaries, and one of them not really increasing, not increasing significantly, and it's because we are predicted to have 53 less positions. So we have to take that into account as it relates to that salary line item. Even though there are salary enhancements in that line item, the difference, one would think it would be much different number, but it's because you're reducing your overall staff by 53. So we have to keep that in mind as we're looking at the numbers. You will see,
And I'm sorry, can you repeat,
Yes.
remind me, how many positions are we losing because the grants are gone?
24.
24, okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. So the different categories, none of those categories have changed. They're all the same, and they're all broken down in exactly the same manner. You'll notice on the right-hand side that there is an approved increase or decrease, and that's what, as a board, I would ask you to specifically take note of. And when you have questions about either an increase or decrease, that would be a great opportunity for next time as we come together. You'll notice that when you get back to the categories such as transportation, operations of plant and equipment, you'll notice that you'll see a lot of increases there, and that is that percentage that we put because of the trend data, and it hadn't been increased for many years. You'll see that we put those increases in there this year. So that'll be the spot that you'll see most of those increases. And you definitely won't see decreases in that area because of the cost of doing business.
That's a quick question about farms. I know that, because it's showing the comparison from last to 22 and 23, and it's a little bit lower this year with Churchill. The other ones seem pretty consistent, but are we back to our pre-COVID time? Because I know we had a really hard time getting people to sign up when everybody was getting their meals during COVID. Is that accurate? And so we were trying to make it easy for people to re-sign up for the farms program.
I wish Julie was still here because she really is the expert in
Okay.
that. But I will tell you that she did an amazing job of just pushing the schools to get the numbers where they are. So I don't know that I know the trends, but I know that she has definitely put a lot of time and energy into getting them. And obviously we have, based on this information, we have Sudlersville Elementary School that is, now a community school. And you'll notice that Churchill is very close. You'll also notice that Graysonville is fairly close, as well as Sudlersville Middle School. So those are some that we're looking at that we will continue to push to try to get those numbers as high as we can so that we can consider them. We don't do the formula for the community schools. It's a formula that's there, and as soon as you meet that mark, they tell you, hey, you're a community school, and you get additional monies for that. So we're hopeful that we can continue to make those numbers grow. But I can certainly have Julie give you some trend data as it relates to what our farms numbers have been in every school over like a 5-year period, if that's helpful.
Yeah, well, I just knew it was a concern.
It is a
because,
concern, yes.
We can get this, this money and.
We absolutely
Right.
can, and it's significant money. I mean, this year for Sudlersville Elementary School, it's $273,000 that pays for a school community coordinator as well as a full-time nurse. And it also allows us to have extended hours in our school-based health center throughout the week consistently for the community to come. So that's really big for parents who may not be able to get their child to health care during the school day. And it's great for sports physicals and vaccinations and other things like that. So,
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for this guest, yeah.
and I certainly, if any board member would, has the desire to sit and go through the budget book with Ms. Gash, she can certainly make herself available to do so.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Gast? Okay. So future meetings, June 5th is our regular board meeting, 6 p.m. here, and then June 19th will be our work session at 5 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn open session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to move into closed session?
Motion to move into closed session.
Well, we have to read why we're.
Why they're going into closed session. Okay.
Pursuant to the general provisions of Article 3-305 and 3-104, the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County will meet in closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.